Hey guys, before I start this video, just FYI, this video is actually going to contain spoilers. Hey. So if you, hey. What? You're gonna mess this up so bad. What? You're gonna get the names wrong. Okay. There's gonna be a time. There's gonna be a time when you call Thistleclaw Tiger Claw, and you're gonna say that Tiger Claw was training Tiger Paw. All right, thank you. I want you to know. I want you to know you're really bad at these. What? Thank you, Goosefeather. Anyway, guys, this video contains spoilers. If you haven't read Spottedleaf's Heart, hey, what? You're gonna mess up. Oh my god. This video contains spoilers. If you haven't read Spottedleaf's Heart, then look away. Alright, let's get this over with. Spottedleaf's Heart. When I heard there was a book coming out called Spottedleaf's Heart, what I got was not what I expected. I know there were little hints here and there of how it was going to be about her choosing to be a medicine cat over a warrior, and immediately I thought that was a bit strange because I thought, now correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I thought from the moment she was a kid she was interested in medicine because Featherwhisker was constantly talking about how there was a kit, referring to Spotted Kit, who was constantly going into his medicine den and trying to look and see what he was doing, or trying to, do herbs. And basically it made it seem like she wanted to be a medicine cat from day one. So I'm already a little bit confused when it talks about how she really wanted to be a warrior and was gun-ho on being a warrior, and that's I don't know, it was very confusing to me. And oh, let's get to just the whipped cream on top. So Thistleclaw and Spotted Paw are a thing now. Didn't see that one coming. I think a lot of people didn't. I don't know why it had to be done. I still don't fully understand it. And there were quotes in the book that I thought were hilarious where Thistleclaw tells her, well, don't you believe in StarClan? There's signs all around us that say we should be together. Look at those stones. There's 2 of them. Look at those birds. He basically goes around and says, look at this. There's 2 of them. They're telling us that we need to be a pair. I swear, even Goosefeather would be, no. You're taking this way too far. I mean, it's one thing for me to look at prophecies and dead prey, but you're going way too far. I mean, seriously. I don't even know where to really begin. So it just starts out, Spotted Kid is playing with her siblings and the other den mates with her, and she's getting a little bossy, so they stop playing with her, and then Thistleclaw comes back into camp with Tiger Paw, and she's looking at a thrush, I think it was a thrush, and Thistleclaw offers her the feathers for her nest, and then White Paw asks for some, and they start playing with the feathers, and then Buzzkill Bluefur comes in and says stop playing with them, that's a waste of bedding, and then she reprimands them, and then she reprimands Tiger Claw about training Tiger Paw. It starts out innocent enough, and Thistleclaw seems okay throughout the book. He doesn't seem to be too over the top until Spotted Paw becomes an apprentice, and she's apprenticed to Thrushpelt, and she ends up having an accident that technically Thistleclaw caused, Thistleclaw, it's very hard to say, Thistleclaw caused by showing her a squirrel in a tree, and she went up after the squirrel and hit her head, and she had to stay in the medicine den for a while, where she started organizing herbs out of boredom. Not because she wanted to, it was out of boredom. And then when she finally gets out of the medicine den, Thistleclaw offers to take her on a walk, and I believe that's when they are introduced into the dark forest and meets Mapleshade and this other cat. I believe his name was Houndleap. And he and Houndleap start fighting, and Spotted Paw thinks it's wrong and thinks he shouldn't go back, and he tells her, and this was one of the suspicions I had in the beginning, he tells her that he's doing it because he wants to be strong for his clan. You know, that's all fine and good. Then they share prey together, and because she actually witnesses Tiger Paw beat up Tiny, and Thistleclaw allowing it, and Bluefur interfering, and so when he offers to share prey with her, or wants her to share prey with him, she admits to him, I saw you do that to that poor kitten, why did you do that? And he said basically it was self-defense. I'm sorry, he's such a big, intimidating cat, and when you think he's telling her it was self-defense, I was defending the clan from this little tiny runt kitten, it's just kind of funny. So she gets upset, runs away, he comes after her and apologizes, which for Thistleclaw to apologize is pretty crazy. And the sequence of events that follow I could be wrong about, but I think Stormtail, Bluefur's father, gets sick, and she goes to find him, gets him back to the medicine den, and Thrushpelt asks her, do you want to be a medicine cat? Because I know you like to help Featherwhisker. Now, I just think that's a little weird, because again, the way that we're introduced to Spottedleaf in the beginning, it seems like she always wanted to be a medicine cat and never really wanted to be a warrior. Now, maybe I interpreted that wrong. Maybe it's just me. But she insists that she wants to be a warrior. And some people have argued, who have read the book, they're like, well, she insisted on being a warrior because she thought her and Thistleclaw were going to go somewhere, and thought she could have kids with him and what have you, but then she dreams the dark forest, or goes into the dark forest, said she's looking for him, and talks to him and says, you can't keep coming here. If you really loved me, you'd stop coming here. And he says, well, I'm not going to stop coming here. So then she goes to Featherwhisker and says, okay, I want to be your apprentice. Now, not just that, but another thing that happens is she actually witnesses Bluefur leaving with her kids and doesn't say anything about it, because she figures if she's doing it for a reason, and it's because Bluefur wants to become deputy versus Thistleclaw, which, am I the only one who scratches my head when I think about it? Because you've got Thistleclaw and you've got Bluefur. Were those really Sunstar's only two choices? I mean, the whole clan seemed like there would have been a lot of... Adderfang was taking over for Tawny Spots when Tawny Spots when Tawny Spots couldn't act as deputy. Adderfang was stepping in. Why? Again, maybe I'm forgetting, because there are a lot of books and I do get them confused. So why didn't Adderfang get chosen instead? I don't really get that. And then there's also Patchpelt, and let's see. There was Patchpelt. There was another one that I thought would have made a good... Thrushpelt. Tawny Spots was Thrushpelt's brother. Thrushpelt could have made a good deputy. There were a lot of cats in the clan who could have made decent deputies, so I don't know why it would just boil down to Thistleclaw and Bluefur. I always thought that was weird. But whatever. So that's pretty much the book. It's just Spottedleaf, juggling whether or not she wants to be a medicine cat or a warrior, and falling in love with Thistleclaw. You want to talk about a romance that comes right the heck out of nowhere. I mean, and again, I think part of it is the errands could never come up. And I know a lot of people argue with me and disagree, but I think it's because the errands couldn't come up with a good enough reason as to why Thistleclaw was in the Dark Forest. So they basically made this book to go into further depth and say, oh, well, he claims it's his destiny to be in the Dark Forest and that he wants to be there and nothing's gonna stop him. And okay. I still think the best theory was Blue Star chased him out of StarClan. I still think that makes way more sense, and I still think it would have made a good character development in all of them, and I think it would have been a nice side story, but people are going to agree to disagree on that, I guess. And some people have actually compared Thistleclaw with other cats like Crooked Star and have said, well, Crooked Star went through the same thing Thistleclaw did, but he didn't turn out evil. You can't, okay, in life, let me just tell you guys this right now, because I'm going into psychology and I'm going for a doctorate degree. So let me just tell you this right now. In life, you cannot compare two people, or in this case, two characters together, because everyone is different. Everyone has their own thoughts. Everyone comes to their own conclusions. Everyone has their own opinions. Everyone has their own series of events that occur and why they are the way they are. You can't exactly compare two characters and say, well, he didn't turn out like that, so he shouldn't either. I mean, you can't even really do that with people. Again, because everyone's different. Now, if you wanted to do a character analysis where you were comparing two cats and say, well, this happened to this and that happened to this, even Ashfur, personally, I would love to do a video where I talk about how Ashfur actually does deserve StarClan, and I plan to go into detail as to why. Because with Ashfur, he didn't have a strong enough, support system around him. Ashfur wouldn't have turned out the way he did if he'd have had a support system, and all of that was taken away from him. I do plan to make a video on that. Maybe I will right after this one. But you can't really compare and contrast characters just like you can in real life and say, well, this happened to him and he didn't turn out that way. So you can't do that. People go through their own events and people are going to come to their own conclusions. So one person might act one way, the other person might act the other. It's just like when people are dealing with grief. One person might cry for several days and not really eat, and then another person might not show any emotion, but also might not want to talk about it. And then someone else might not be able to stop talking about it because they're looking for answers. You just can't compare two characters and say that. And plus, Crooked Star didn't get everything taken away from him. He got to be deputy and he got to be leader. Thistleclaw didn't even get that. So again, you can't really compare the two. I mean, Blue Fur took everything away from Thistleclaw in his eyes. And it took away Snowfur, took away his son, took away his deputy position, took away any hope he had of ever being leader. I think she could have at least made Thistleclaw her deputy. She could have at least done that and given him a chance. Because he was actually disappointed when she didn't pick him for deputy, and I kind of thought that was sad. And a lot of people say, oh, but he would have tried to have killed her. No, he wouldn't have. And if you watch my Thistleclaw analysis, I go into further detail of why he wouldn't have tried to have killed her. Because if he really wanted that position, he would have tried to have killed her when she was deputy. But who knows? Maybe I'm giving the Erins more ideas. Maybe the Erins will be like, oh, well, now we have an idea on how to make Thistleclaw evil. We'll just make it to where he tries to kill Blue Fur when she's a deputy. Good idea. Yeah. But also in the book, there is a scene where Thistleclaw and I can't remember who the patrol consisted of, but Thistleclaw goes out and purposely battles kitty pets and hurts them or something. Again, it comes kind of out of nowhere, and I'm thinking, first of all, why in the world would he just randomly go after kitty pets? I mean, I know Tiny, but Tiny was in his boundary. the ThunderClan boundary. Why would Thistleclaw go out of his way to go into the two-leg place and fight kitty pets? That just doesn't seem like him. That doesn't seem like his style. I could see him going into the boundary of maybe some other warriors and fighting warriors, but going to a two-leg place and fighting kitty pets, like, I just thought that was a little strange. Again, I think it might be a way to show how evil he was, and oh, it turns out Bluefur was right, and he's a pedo cat. And that's another thing, they're cats, guys, okay? Cats are sexually mature when they are 6 months old. Or in this case, 6 moons old. The age thing doesn't really matter. They're cats. And a lot of people have said, oh, but impressionable children read the series and they're going to think it's okay for an older person to date a much younger person. Okay, don't insult kids like that. Kids know the difference between cats and humans. They know it's beyond wrong for humans versus cats. Cats are animals, okay? I mean, we're animals too, technically, but we're supposed to be on a different level than the other animals in this world. But they're just cats, okay? And if we're being realistic, warriors would basically, it would be so different if the cats were realistic. Like, you wouldn't have the whole 9 lives things going on. The cats would constantly be pregnant. The male cats would constantly be fighting each other for, boundaries and mating rights, and it would be a mess. So, to be fair, is the age difference a little creepy? I mean, I guess, but again, all I can think of is they're cats. Who cares? There's been a lot of this throughout the series, and, even the video I made about Thornclaw and Blossomfall. Thornclaw is, I believe, 6 years older than Blossomfall, but I still think they make an adorable couple. And again, I'm glad he just got a mate with kits. So the whole age thing doesn't really bother me as much as the story itself not making any sense to me, because again, I thought Spottedleaf always wanted to be a medicine cat, but apparently that wasn't right. And also just trying to make Thistleclaw look more evil because they couldn't come up with a good enough reason in the first place. So that's all for now. Thanks, guys. See you later. Phew, that was a long video. What? I told you. Oh my god.